Thank you very much. Welcome to The Tonight Show. Thank you so much. Let's get to the news and jokes. Well, guys, the election is just a week away, but the White House is making news for all the wrong reasons. Take a look.
Concerns of another coronavirus outbreak at the White House after 5 of Vice President Mike Pence's associates, including his chief of staff, test positive for COVID-19. The vice president campaigning in North Carolina, a move defended by White House officials who called him an essential worker.
Even Joe Biden was like, trust me, being vice president is not essential work. That's right, the coronavirus is spreading through the coronavirus task force. But don't worry, the White House is now forming a task force to figure out what went wrong with the task force. Yet the only place the coronavirus is rounding the corner is in the halls of the White House. Seriously, it doesn't instill a lot of confidence that the head of the coronavirus task force's office got the coronavirus. It's like if the Avengers got mugged. Meanwhile, when Pence saw he was trending online, he was like, oh no, do I have another fly in my head? That's right, Pence will continue to campaign because not even COVID can stop people from seeing the electricity and raw sexual magnetism that is Mike Pence in person. That's right, 5 members of Mike Pence's staff tested positive for coronavirus. Pence himself tested negative, but he did go through a contact tracing program. We actually got the audio from the phone call with his doctor. Listen to this.
Walk me through your day yesterday so I can see who you were in contact with.
Well, I was eating my routine dinner, a buttered hot dog bun facing in the direction of Jerusalem, when my chief of staff passed by and coughed on my buttered bun. It's a sin to waste food that was prepared by your female wife, so I ate it anyway.
Okay, that's not good. What happened after that?
To unwind, I watched my favorite show, an episode of Mr. Ed that's been edited to replace the talking horse with a normal man. A member of my staff was feeling woozy and feverish, so I had him sit on my lap as we watched human Mr. Ed.
That could be a problem. Any symptoms like a lightheadedness?
Well, I do faint every time I see a woman driving a car, but that's not new.
Okay, well, to be safe, I'm going to suggest you stay home for 14 days and socially distance.
Understood, but Mother won't be pleased.
There you go. Well, interesting. Interesting that we got that audio. And this didn't help. Yesterday, the White House Chief of Staff, Mark Meadows, got a lot of attention for what he said about controlling the virus. Watch this.
So here's what we have to do. We're not going to control the pandemic. We are going to control the fact that we get vaccines, therapeutics, and other mitigation.
Why aren't we going to get control of the pandemic?
The White House has said it is what it is, and we are not going to control it. They talk about COVID like it's a wild teen on Dr. Phil. We're out of ideas. Hopefully this thing calms down with age. It's like the coronavirus won the Super Bowl, except it already made trips to Disneyland and the White House. Well, the White House isn't alone. Fox News is also dealing with their own outbreak. Listen to this.
The New York Times reports the president of Fox News and several of the channel's top anchors, including Bret Baier and Martha MacCallum, they have been advised to quarantine. They were exposed to the virus on a flight to Nashville for last Thursday's final presidential debate.
Dang, first Pence's inner circle gets COVID, now Trump's. I hope none of the anchors on Fox News have the virus, because if you think Sean Hannity's intense now, imagine him on steroids. But this is nice. Trump called to check on everyone, then spent the next 55 minutes ranting about windmills. They say if anyone's acting disoriented or lethargic, don't worry, that's just Lou Dobbs.
The caravan of mostly Central American immigrants is now in the Mexican city of Huautla tonight.
Lou, come on. We're almost done showing that. Get this, the Trump administration did have a plan for a COVID vaccine. Check out who they wanted to give it to.
Santa and Mrs. Claus will not be getting an early vaccine. The Department of Health and Human Services is dropping a holiday ad campaign that would have offered Santa Claus performers, along with Mrs. Claus and elf performers, early access to a vaccine in exchange for promoting the benefits to the public.
That was their plan? Mall Santas? Yeah, because before making any important medical decisions, I want to hear what a drifter with whiskey breath has to say. Seriously, nothing says trustworthy quite like a man sitting outside a Hot Topic asking you to sit on his lap. Have you ever seen a mall Santa? Coronavirus is like 10th on the list of things they need vaccines for. Speaking of the holidays, Halloween is almost here, and last night the Trumps hosted trick-or-treaters at the White House, where they were greeted by 2 kids who dressed up like them. Look at that. Well, at least one Trump is wearing a mask. But this was crazy. At one point, Trump fled to his bunker when he saw a little girl dressed as Leslie Stahl. Yep, this Halloween party was a little different. Instead of candy, Trump was handing out unapproved vaccines. I hope everyone had a good time, because I don't think Melania's next event will be quite as fun. Yeah, is that... Some more political news this weekend. Russian President Vladimir Putin was asked about Joe Biden's family. Check it out.
Russian President Vladimir Putin isn't going along with one of President Trump's campaign attacks on Joe Biden's son. On state television, Mr. Putin said he doesn't see anything criminal in Hunter Biden's past business ties with Ukraine or Russia.
2020, where Vladimir Putin is somehow the voice of reason. Even Putin is dissing himself from Trump. He's like, oh, Donald, there's too much drama, like a Real Housewife of Volgograd. Volgograd. A Real Housewife of Volgograd. Putin was like, terrible, terrible conspiracy. I give it 1 out of 5 poison syringes. Here's a big story. Today, the Senate voted to confirm Judge Amy Coney Barrett to the Supreme Court. Take a look.
On this vote, the yeas are 52, the nays are 48. The nomination of Amy Coney Barrett of Indiana to be an Associate Justice of the Supreme Court of the United States is confirmed.
Yeah, Republicans haven't moved that fast since they saw AOC in the hallway. Let's change gears. I heard about a Walmart in Oklahoma that had to be evacuated after an unexpected visitor walked in. Watch this.
And an Edmond Walmart shuts down after a skunk runs loose inside the store. Experts say the skunk was stuck in the shoe department.
I never told anybody this, but for years I toured in a country band named Walmart Skunk. It was even more strange when a customer ran down the aisle like, Hubert, get back on your leash. When the skunk walked past the Axe body spray aisle, it was like, oh, what is that? I wonder what could have attracted wild animals into a Walmart.
KFC is bringing back its collaboration with Walmart to offer the fried chicken-scented fire log again.
If Trump gets reelected, that'll be the smoke that comes out of the White House chimney. I'm kidding, but that's what they light at the Vatican when the Pope wants a 12-piece. The KFC log sounds fun until your dog jumps onto the fire. I'm a little classier myself. I prefer a Boston Market scented fire log. So. And finally, here's an update to a story we told you about last week. On Wednesday, NASA teased a big announcement that they would be making about the moon. Well, here it is.
NASA says they have found proof of water on the moon. So a pair of recent studies prove there are water molecules in the dirt and large ice patches in the shadows.
Actually, the big announcement was just that NASA just added this sign. I'm excited. This means we're one step closer to moon sharks. But this is great. Once the news broke, Cardi B released a new song, Wham.
On and on and on. I said, and it's on.